You've seen him and actually in just 1 year, you saw him in Ang Lee's Life of Pi, you saw him in Meera Nair's The Reluctant Fundamentalist, you saw him in Gauri Shinde's English Winglish. You have seen him in films like Ishqiya in Lutere and Kabir Singh. You've seen him on Netflix on series like Delhi Crime. You've seen him on the stage play Othello. You have seen him or heard of him coach some of the brightest young talent at NSD after being an alumnus of the prestigious institute himself. You have seen him, depending on what languages you watch cinema in films in Hindi, English, Marathi, Tamil, Malayalam, Bengali, Norwegian, French. You will now see him on a series version of one of the most seminal stories in storytelling, the Star Trek series on CBS, season 3 of CBS's Star Trek. How does a boy from Assam get to probably the most prestigious franchise in the world of filmmaking? That's a great point to start a conversation from, but equally to ask, how do you learn the art of making your difference your greatest strength? And it's a privilege to be able to invite up the absolutely formidably talented Adil Hussain. Adil, can we start with the last question first? How does a boy from Assam find himself on Star Trek?
There is this beautiful story told to me by my teacher. It's a story about a pottery master and a journalist from America. So she went to Japan to visit a pottery master, and she requested, "Would you mind making a pot for me?" And the master made it within 3 minutes and gave it to her, and she said, "Oh, you just took 3 minutes to make a masterpiece." The Japanese pottery master says, "No, it's actually 75 years and 3 minutes.
There's a story, there's a story told like that, and we repeated it often about, I think, Barry Norman asking Sharon Stone,
That's exactly.
what does it feel like to be an overnight success after 20 years?
Yes. So to answer the question that you asked me, the tip of the iceberg is Star Trek right now. That's there, but how did that happen? Technically speaking, I have an agent in Hollywood, and she had been always disappointed with me because I haven't been responding to her audition calls. In Hollywood, most of the time, everybody, including Penelope Cruz, had to audition 4 times for Pirates of the Caribbean. So my agent thought that I'm arrogant enough not to respond for auditions, because in India, we don't audition, they just hire us, It's called offer, in the jargon, Hollywood jargon, it's called offer only. So she thought I'm that actor who believes in offer only. But I was shooting for another film, and in Atlanta with the amazing actor. She was here on this platform. I have seen a photograph, Monisha Koirala. So she and I were playing this couple in Atlanta, and we were shooting for 2 months. And my agent calls and says that, "Would you like to audition for this piece, Star Trek?" I was like, that's interesting. Or shall I say, you are offer only? I said, no. I'm not that bad. I can audition. So I asked for the scene. I also told her that if I liked the scene, then only I would audition for it. So I loved the scene. It's extremely intense. And somehow people in India or directors in India, they think I'm an intense actor. But they don't know that I had been a stand-up comic for 6 years in Assam. I earned my bread and butter as a stand-up comic. And also that I am a trained clown. I had been clowning, most of the time in Europe, but so enjoyed the scenes. I read it, and my wife, she's sitting there right here. She's shy, so I'm not going to point it out to. So
She played Desdemona. She cannot be shy. She played Desdemona in Othello with you for many years.
Oh God, yes, she did. But theater is okay, but she doesn't want to be on limelight in terms of on screen. So she read out the rest of the scenes, rest of the actors, and she always does that whenever I have to audition. And the camera is the phone that I use, a Samsung phone. And I sent it and I haven't forgotten, but like I kept it out of my mind and I did not really inquire what's going on. And after 2 or 3 weeks, I forgot exactly. She calls and she says that, Adil, you are in. I was like, wow, that's great. So that's how it happened, if that's the question.
That is, but since you did say it's 75 years of learning pottery before the 3 minutes, can we start at the beginning? You grew up in Gwalpara in Assam. When did acting and you find each other?
Wow. Well, it's very difficult because my memories are pretty blurred. And I had been trying to ask that question to myself as well. When did that happen? And I keep telling a story, but I'm not sure whether I made it up, that's the story or there is something else. But I guess somehow it feels true that I did a play when I was 8 years old, as in the kindergarten where I studied in Gwalpara, and it was a half-an-hour skit, and there were only 2 actors. And the play got over, and the next day, of course, I am being pointed out by the rest of especially the girls, like, hey, that's the guy, you know. But later, when I look back, I realized that the first question that I asked my teacher who directed the play, and I asked her, was it half an hour? And she said, yes. I told her, I said to her that, but it felt like 5 minutes. So for me, when I look back now, it felt like that the time stood still for me. And that magic never happened before, when half an hour felt like 5 minutes. And when it happened, of course, it happened after that a lot. The kind of work I had been doing, not necessarily while I was performing, but the kind of training that I had. And so it happened quite often, but that was my first experience of forgetting time and being aware about it. Maybe I did experience time passing by without my knowledge, but that was the first time that I felt that time is passing at it, and it felt way short than it was actually. So, and I also felt that time, when I experience time passing so fast, and I'm aware about it, I don't age. So that's the secret that I would like to pass it on to the people, those who have crossed 50.
Does it still happen when you act? Does time still seem to pass much faster, or has that changed?
Well, in films, I don't think the possibilities are very less, because films, the culture of filmmaking in India especially is very different than what they do in Europe. I don't think I get this kind of a journey that I get it when I act on the stage or rehearse. Acting on the stage, for me, acting on the stage, more than acting on the stage, is the rehearsal process where we discover each and every tiny fraction of seconds from one sentence or one word to the next word to the next, and then the sentence ends, and then again we go to the next sentence. So the truth of the second sentence emerges from the truth of the first. It's almost like an organicity which is spontaneously it takes place, and you are almost the only metaphor, the visual which comes to my mind. You saw this, the springs which comes out of the small little pipe, and there's a ball, ping pong ball on top, and it is constantly there because of the force of the water. And spontaneity for me is like that. It's coming out, and you are on top of it, and suddenly it's over, and I'm like, oh, it's done. And that's magic. It's pure magic for me. And most probably that's the reason that I started acting and I fell in love with acting. And later, quite often I have seen that a lot of actors, I had been also involved with students here in India and abroad. And pretty often I have seen that actors, most of the actors, they somehow forget why they have started acting in the first place. And the paraphernalia, which is like gloss and the glitter and the money and the name and the fame, those sort of take over. And the fear of losing that bring them to act very strangely. And a lot of, I don't want to go, in details, but that's very important. So it's my observation, and I keep telling the young actors that stay with the first love, the first reason that you fell in love with acting. That's important.
And I just want to go back to your growing years before coming back to theater. You have, I think, 7 brothers and sisters, and your father was a teacher, and many of them are lawyers and so on. How did they take to the youngest saying, I want to be an actor?
Oh, my father hated it. And my brothers as well, they thought I'm good for nothing. And it's a very interesting story about my dad. He was a teacher, and he was fluent in 5 languages: Arabic, Persian, English, Hindi, Urdu, Bengali, Assamese, 5 or 6 languages. And he wanted me to teach English in the local college. So that was his dream for me. And I said no. And in those days, parents were very strict, that, beat me up and all that. And thank God he did it, because I was really bad. And so in 2001, when he was 91, I did a play in England, and for some reason I was interviewed on BBC, and I came back home without knowing that the interview was already telecast. And I came back home, and my dad we were sitting, and he has mellowed a lot by then, so we were sitting in the living room, and he said, you must be doing something good. I'm like, yeah, why do you say that? No, I saw you in BBC. I said, oh, okay. So why do you think that I'm good when you saw me on BBC? He says, no, I trust BBC, because BBC would not interview you unless you are good. So I kept quiet for some time, and I said to him, so you trust BBC more than your son, eh? So he got it. He said, yeah, you have a point. I said, yeah, I do have a point. So that was the small conversation we had. And then he was worried. I'm from a small little town where newspapers used to come 3 days after it was published. So he was worried about how would I live my life and where would I earn money from. And he was, we lived in very small amount of money. We didn't have even, we could not afford to buy milk in order to have milk tea in the morning. So he was really worried about it. So I understand his fear, where he was coming from. So I forgive him.
I do want to, because some of his fears clearly did come true during the time you were, and I know you're not a fan of the word struggle, and yet there is a process of almost necessary kind of strife with the profession and with becoming accomplished. But before that, you did move to Guwahati for college, and is that where stand-up comedy started and more active theater? Will you tell us a little about that? When did you know not just that you could act, but that you could make people laugh?
I was a clown since my childhood, in a way, and so I guess, and I used to love. There are two actors, not mimic actors. They used to come to perform during the Bihu. And anybody, of course, I know one Assamese is here in Akshi. she would know that in Baisakhi, during April,
13, 14.
we would have, Assam celebrates Baisakhi very, very intensely, and there would be makeshift stages across the country, across the state. And all the artists, singers, they will be invited every evening in different parts of the state. And there's two guys who used to come from Bengal, and they were mimic actors, and they used to mimic all these heroes, and like the Bollywood heroes, including Bachchan and Dharmender and Rajkumar, Raj Kapoor, you name them, and they could do it. And I was fascinated by that, and I was wondering, oh my God, how could they do that? So I would come home and I would practice myself. So I was around 8, 9 years old.
Sorry, but you've set yourself up for trouble. You will have to show us a little bit of how you do Bachchan, how you do Rajkumar.
You must have noticed that I have got cold.
Yes.
So, no, do you? Like, this is not my voice.
Think of it as just another day on the set.
See, I'm coughing also. I'm not making it up.
You
I'm not
also
that a good actor.
You also do Rajiv Gandhi.
I used to. I haven't done him for a long time. रोमा तुम बहुत अच्छी लड़की हो. जानते हो रोमा, मेरे बाप ने 2 शादियां की हैं. एक मेरे माँ के साथ और एक अपनी नौकरी के साथ. I forgot the lines. Yeah.
Okay. Ajit, come on.
Rajiv Gandhi. We used to do stand-up comedy. We had a group, and we used to do political satire, basically. And there was a performance which was based on the flood in Assam, which is still continuing. So we used to invite Rajiv Gandhi to sort of, answer questions like, how is it possible for you that we have given you a proposal to increase the flood by shedding, artificial tears, so why haven't you fulfilled that yet? So, and he would answer like this, he would go, हमें देखना है जापान का टेक्नोलॉजी इस्तेमाल करके. Anyway, so हमें सोचना है. Then this guy would say, आप सोचते रहते हैं, देखते रहते, कुछ करिए ना, आप कुछ कर नहीं क्यों रहे.
So, and from there, how did the National School of Drama happen? Why
Right.
did you decide to formally study acting?
Yeah. So I did television, films, stand-up comedy, radio plays, street plays. You name it, I have done it. Before I joined National School of Drama, I saw one actor whose name is Tapan Das, he's a very handsome guy, but that wasn't the reason who attracted my attention only to him when he was with the other very handsome actors in Assam on the screen. And he had certain, I don't know what it was then, now I know, but I asked him that, Dada, when you are on screen, what do you do? So he looked at me. I think I'm 7 or 8 years younger than him. He said, what do you see? I said, I don't know. You don't move much. You don't, move your facial muscle much. You don't move your hands much. Why do I see you? Why do I look at you and not at the other guy? He said, okay, meet me after the shoot. So I went to him and he said, there is a person called Stanislavski. I'm like, who? Konstantin Stanislavski was born in Russia. And blah, blah, blah. Then he's the father of modern acting. And from him, the idea of method acting was sort of rewritten from his ideas by Lee Strasberg, and then he popularized it amongst Hollywood actors. I came to know about Jerzy Grotowski, who, after Stanislavski, is the person who sort of took acting to another level altogether. Almost to an esoteric level, which I got very, very interested in. Anyways, later. So then he said, also there is a place called National School of Drama where you are taught acting. I was like, what? This is a school where they teach you acting? So it's like unbelievable. For a person like me, who has never heard of it, and as I said, the town that I grew up, then that became my mantra. I have to go to NSD, I have to go to NSD to learn acting. And then finally, I came to know that, thank God, that National School of Drama still, till today, they've started taking 6 more students than the time that I applied. They only took 20 students. Now they take 26. And if you get a seat, you get a scholarship. You don't have to pay. I wouldn't have been able, I'll not be sitting here and talking to you if I wasn't, if the scholarship wasn't there. So that's why I feel that what's going on in the country in terms of university, I'm sure, I'm absolutely for it. It should be free of cost, higher education. Not a single money should be paid. Because there are hundreds of Adils and Nawazis and Tripathis, Pankaj. I mean, they could not have studied acting in NSD if it wasn't for free. So, so I applied in 1990, and thank God that I got through, because I could not finish my graduation. I'm a 10+2. And from 1991, they made the minimum qualification graduation. And so, yeah, so I got through.
Do you believe, particularly now after your time at NSD and you do go back and teach, that acting is a teachable craft? Because for people, as a viewer, you always imagine that there is something natural to acting, right?
I would use an Indian word called swadharma. Swadharma means the nature of a thing. Dharma means the nature, the qualities of anything. And so I guess there is a thing that you discover that you have it, not necessarily for one thing, but intensely maybe for 1 or 2 things. And later, if one is encouraged or facilitated properly by parents, especially in the beginning, which wasn't the case in my case, but schools or society, and then you discover that this is your strong point, this is your tendency, and this is what you would like to do. And if that can be followed, in my case, I had to rebel, I had to fight, I had to do all sorts of things in order to continue to dream, to learn acting. So if you have it, that would matter 20%, I would say. Depending upon what kind of actor you want to become, of course. You know, if you want to become an actor, like when I studied in England after NSDA, again I got a scholarship to study acting in England. And they taught us that there are 3 kinds of actors in the world. Demonstrative acting, those actors are those who do mime, pantomime, like Kathakali, Kudiyattam, Bharatanatyam, Kathak, and all the mudras. Also the Western pantomime, Western mime. And the other kind is called personality actors. Personality actors are those who bend the characteristics of the character to suit their personality. Like 99.9% of actors in India are personality actors. They don't change. They may put on makeup or beard or put on what do you call that? Body weight. But those are cosmetic changes. I'm talking about the those are hardware change, but the software which needs to be changed, where you are tilting towards a person which had been sketched by the writer. So those are personality actors, and character actors, unlike the way you understand here in India, character actors are like in India like us, you know, those who are not playing the heroes and heroines. They're character actors. No, it's a wrong definition completely. So those actors who try to change their personal personality according to the need of the character, those are called character actors. So in 1983, till then, I of course was a big fan of all these amazing leading men of India, including Bachchan and Dharmender and Shatrughan Sinha and all of them, which are great. I mean, I enjoyed it. But then I saw a film called Papillon, or Papillon. It means butterfly in French. And that was in 1983. That was my first Western film that I've ever seen. And I was blown by the performance of these two actors, and I thought those are real people picked up from the streets to play these roles. And later I came to know Dustin Hoffman and Steve McQueen are the actors. And then I saw their other films. And then I said to myself, these are the actors, the kind of actors that I would like to become, or I'd like to practice this craft, what they do. So, yes, it depends upon what kind of an actor you want to become. That will decide the course of your action, whether you would like to be trained as an actor, or you are just happy with playing yourself all your life, which people seem to be happy, so that's absolutely fine. If you're happy, then what's the problem? There is no problem at all. I wouldn't have been happy, so.
I do want to touch on a little bit on the role of language, because when you came in from Assam and to the National School of Drama, was Hindi the dominant medium? And how did that work? Because it's ironic, and we'll come to English-Vinglish, because while the language battle there is actually English, you faced some form of that challenge coming from Assamese to Hindi. And the exclusionary nature of language in this country is not everything to English. It is very much other languages between themselves. Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I thought I was pretty good in Hindi, but that wasn't the case. Like my diction teacher started laughing when I said, "मैं कल गाड़ी से आ रहा था," and she started laughing. I said, "Why are you laughing?" "गाड़ी नहीं है, गाड़ी है." What? I couldn't even understand the difference, you know. And of course, in Assam or in Bengal, we don't have ling. You know, we are much more progressive than the rest of the country. All the Bengalis are clapping. So I didn't know. I still today, of course, today one can possibly give it a bit of credit that police aati hai. I mean, how is it possible? You tell me. How can police be, aati hai? I mean, now I can understand there are few women who have joined police forces, but then with this huge mustache and all that police, there is no logic behind it. So unless it is logical, rational, I find it difficult to understand in terms of language. It was initially a problematic situation, but I was vocal about it. I took it up to the director, because a lot of directors used to come from different parts of the country and the world to do plays, and those who came from abroad, they had no issues, but those who had come from India, they would cast the people from Hindi-speaking belt. They would cast them in the lead roles, and people like us, we would be given small roles. And so we saw that pattern for 6-7 months, and we took it up to the director. And then the new things happened that they would cast 2 actors in the same role, and then we'll have 2 sets of performances. Yes, so that was a situation. But also, I would see the upside of it was also that I had to really work hard. And unlike most Assamese actors, there are only few who could speak Hindi and not be detected that they are from that part of the world. So the upside was that I really worked hard, that nobody should be able to detect unless I tell them that I'm an Assamese. And अगर मैं कहता हूँ कि इधर से जाइए उधर से जाइए तो हमको पता चल जाता है कि आप किधर से हैं. So अगर मैं कहता हूँ कि आप इधर से जाइए उधर से जाइए तो पता नहीं चलनी चाहिए कि आप कहाँ से हैं. So the shift from there to here, so it's the dance of your tongue and the teeth and your lips, the linguistic, the culture, the dance that one is used to. It goes, because the sound comes from your vocal cord and you are obstructing the sound by your teeth and your tongue and your lips to form a word. Like, for example, I had been a voice and accent coach in GE Capital in 2001 because I could not support myself doing theater, so I had to take up that job. And I had been given this role to teach this rejected lot. And there were people from Manipur and Meghalaya and, you know. So first day, oh, sir, how are you doing? Are you good? Yeah, I'm good, I'm good. So today I came from Shillong. No. And so I'm like, I have to make them speak. Today I came from Shillong and I have to work hard. I have to make them say that in like 1.5 months. Today I come from Shillong. And tomorrow I have to go to Delhi. And we're looking for some chicken. So, so, you know, and then someone is from Assam. Today I came from Shillong, Guwahati, and then I'm going there, no, and then blah, blah, blah. And then someone is from Bengal. Today I came from Shillong, and from Shillong I'll go to Delhi. So all these kinds of, like, you know, and then for someone from Haryana, from Punjab. Oh, sir, today though I am from Shillong, sir. And tomorrow I'll go there. And so, so I had to make sure that they speak in standard language, standard English. And so it's a matter of how well you listen. So listening is the fundamental element in terms of learning another dialect or language for that matter. Where was I? What question did you ask me?
Your answer was far more interesting than the question.
No, it cannot be. You asked me something.
No, I did just ask whether...
Hindi, yes. Yes, so it helped me a lot in order to sort of work really hard. And now I just finished a film and I watched it day before yesterday at the International Film Festival of India in Goa. I play a rickshaw puller from Jharkhand. And it's the film is directed by Prakash Jha. And I was really worried before I went to see the film because I thought, I hope. So I hid myself and I was watching it and I was like, am I sounding okay? You know, I'm looking okay, it looks authentic, but am I sounding okay? Because if this film is shown in Jharkhand, क्या कर रहे हैं आप? तो आपको तो लगता ही नहीं है आप कहीं यहाँ से हैं. तो ऐसे अगर बोल देते हैं कोई तो हम तो फंस जाएंगे ना. तो so it's like then I was pretty okay. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, they're accepting me that I'm from there. So it has its, but a lot of people do not put in that hard work. It's a lot of work. You have to really work hard. It's a drill, like ta 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 ba 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 cha 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 cha. So to understand all the consonants and the vowel sounds of all languages, which is pretty similar, but one has to really work hard to change it at will. You know, maybe one sentence you speak in, you know, with a French accented English, I'm going there, but tomorrow maybe I'll come here. Why not? And from there you may go to, oh, what are you doing? Are you okay? And maybe to, so what is it that makes you sound different? Like, what is your name? My name is, I'm from Vladimir, I'm from Russia, you know. So what is it that makes you, you have to have that kind of interest also in order to learn, you know, and that fascinates me. I love it.
It's...
Yes. Thank you, sir.
We're going to ignore that for the moment.
Okay.
I have two sets of questions. Actually, I have a lot more, but I'm going to
Yeah.
frame them in two. There would be the films I'd love to ask you about, but I'd in fact first like to ask, of the range of work you've done in a host of languages and different cultures, would you pick three that you think are work that both challenged you, but also, for example, you tell the audience, go and see these three films for the nature of their filmmaking?
Absolutely. And thank God I have three. She never told me what questions she's going to ask me, so it's truly spontaneous. The first one, I would say, a film that I acted in 2013, we shot. It was premiered in 2015. And first time, no, this is not the first, second time I got a review, and it was by the Hollywood Reporter. There's one of the most respected magazines of the world, in the world. They loved the film and my performance. It's called Sunrise Orunadai. It's a Marathi film, but I speak only 14 words in the entire film, so I could have spoken Greek or Japanese. It didn't matter to me. It's on Netflix. Please watch it. It's a hard film to watch in a way, but if you could go through it, it's one of the most difficult role I've ever played. I play a father whose daughter was kidnapped 10 years ago when she was 10 years old, and I had been looking for her. Being a cop, I could not find her till the film finished, or maybe I do. So that's the film, and the other one would be What Will People Say? It's a Norwegian film, and it's a film set in Norway on a Pakistani family, and the contradictions between, or the very severe.
That was Norway's entry to the Oscars in foreign
That
language
was
films,
Norway's
yeah.
entry submission to Oscars in 2017, and you would be happy to hear that I'm the first Indian actor who got a Norwegian national award for best acting in that.
And the central theme of What Will People Say is quite literally
Yes.
the culture of What Will People Say.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit about that film?
The film?
Yeah.
The film is the Pakistani family in Norway, and the daughter, I play the father, and the daughter who wants to just live Norwegian life because she gotten, she has her friends and all that, and how difficult it is for the parents to accept the fact that a Muslim Pakistani family living in Norway, allowing her daughter to sort of even go out without a burqa. I should not say more than that, I think, yeah. And my most favorite films, one of my most, or maybe the most favorite film that I have done so far is called, in the English title is called Hotel Salvation, but on Netflix, it's Mukti Bhavan. I'm very fond of that film because I think it's one of the most beautiful film, though it talks about death, but in such a way that you come out after watching the film, you feel uplifted, you feel joyous, a kind of a quiet sort of joy that sort of settles in. And I would urge you to see it with your parents or with your children.
And that was the film that got you the national award, the jury award, right?
It
That's
gave
right,
me a
the
national award for that, yeah,
as
that's
well.
true. Yeah.
Will you-
And it also released in around 40 countries. It ran in Japan for 150 days in 30 cinema halls. It did very well. It did very well. Thank you.
It is revealing that in your top three, you will not pick three films that we would probably all have seen and heard of. So will you tell us a little bit of the experience of shooting something like English Vinglish, and then a radically different, a world away, Life of Pi?
Well, Gauri Shinde is the director-writer who most probably was here.
Gauri Shinde will be at Algebra next Sunday.
Okay, there you
on
go.
the 1st,
Yeah.
in a conversation about Sri Devi, which
Okay.
will come to
Yes, yes, yes. So Gauri is one of the warmest women that I have met who just laughs she just laughs. So, and when she proposed, this is one film that I auditioned for because that was my second film, Hindi film. And so her husband, Balki, who called me and said, Adil, we would like you to play the role. I was like, wow, that's great. It would be nice to work with Sridevi. I never thought of, And so I said to her that, see, this guy is not a villain. He's just ignorant and innocent, as most Indian males are. My father was like that. My brothers are like that. My friends are like that. God help us, yes. And so he he doesn't know that he's so misogynist, And is it a bad thing? Yes, we are slowly coming to know it's terrible. Thank God for the awareness program by the government. Sorry, it's not by the government. By us, by quite a lot of artists. And so when I played that, and it was so much fun to work with Sridevi because when I met her for the first time in my life, so we're about to rehearse few scenes. It's a sort of a photo shoot. Is what do you call that? The screen test for my hair or costume. And she was sitting there, and I was like, I saw her since my childhood. I saw her on the big screen since my childhood. So I went up to her and I sat next to her, and I said, I saw Sadma, and I could not manage to eat for 2 days. And she looked at me and she had tears in her eyes. She was touched most probably by the sincerity or whatever, the honesty and the way I said it, or maybe some memories got triggered. I have no idea what it was. And then Gauri Shinde comes to me and says, Adil, we're going to improvise the scene. We're going to do this scene, which is written, but I would like you to start the scene imagining what happened just before this scene. I was like, great. I love improvisation. So I went, and then, I'm about to leave the house, go to the office. So I saw a piece of paper, and I picked up the paper and said, ye bill kab aaya? So can you ask me that?
Ye bill kab aaya?
Pata nahi? See, I did not even let you finish. So she did not let me finish the line, the sentence. Her presence of mind and the degree of her presence here and now is so astonishingly intense that she fathomed what I would ask. Ye bill ka pata nahi? I was completely thrown because I didn't expect that answer and a reply. Pat on, I did not, because she didn't know what I'm going to do or say. And she wasn't even told that I will be improvising. So then I started laughing because I was trying to cover up my nervousness. So I started laughing. Tum ghar pe rehti ho, tumko nahi pata hua, mujhe kaise pata hua? So I just covered it up. So then I realized that I'm going to work with this amazingly talented. I think Sridevi is at par with Meryl Streep, and we did not do justice to her at all. We did not have a single director, writer in India who could have written a script which would have brought her to that kind of, or demanded so much of her. We do not have. Sorry? Sadma was one or two, but Sadma is okay. It's not like a great film. She is great in it. But it's not, when I see, like Meryl Streep in films like, I don't know, so many of them, then you realize how much hard work they put in to write a script. They spend years and years of research to make sure that the script is credible. Each and every word is carefully chosen. And it's organic, and it's multi-layered. So when I read Bollywood scripts after reading Chekhov and Shakespeare and Shaw and Tolstoy or any other, and I feel like I'm reading an 8-year-old, a school play. That's the problem with our film industry, that we do not spend money, hours and time and energy in order to write a script, which will help the Indian audience to educate, to help them evolve. Otherwise, we are watching school plays and happy with it. And you can see what's going on.
And actually, on a related note, I wanted to ask...
He is very ruthless, eh?
I wanted to ask, as I said, on a related note, what is it that you think acting and cinema as a whole, the arts as a whole, but in cinema and theater, your chosen fields, do for a society? Or what should they do? But what is it that to you, what is the core intervention that they do and can make? And do we understand and value that enough? The entertainment part is obvious, but what is it that it does to you and for you?
Good question, because I wish you would have started with this question.
We'll take as long as you need to answer it.
No, because that is my most favorite subject. I did a paper on that when I graduated from NSD, the relationship of an actor between his given space and everyday life. I asked that question to myself that am I a selfish bastard who just loves to act and get attention and get money and all that? And what am I doing for the society? So to look for the answer, I went to my teacher who lives in Pondicherry. I'm not allowed to say his name. So I went up to him and I asked him that, what am I doing? Am I just... He says, Adil, and which is so apt and thankfully a timely answer. Otherwise, I most probably would have left acting. He said, when you do a role, and if you're doing it sincerely and doing it from a larger space within, without judging the character that you're playing, if you have to play Jesus, Hitler, you have to be as large-hearted as Jesus in order to play Hitler. These are my thing. He said it differently, but I understood it this way. Even if you have to play Jesus, you have to be as large-hearted as Jesus. But a Hitler, if you are in life, then you cannot play Jesus because you're too small to play Jesus. So your journey is to go towards Jesus, or any other name would fit in. Not any other, but very few maybe in the world would fit in. So then basically you are trying, what you are doing is that you are enlarging yourself, you're widening yourself in order to look at the world from maybe 20 different points of views and allowing the audience to empathize with a character, otherwise would be completely condemned. And so you are helping people to empathize, and creating empathy is the hardest job. It's very difficult to create empathy for a stranger. Isn't that a great gift that you're giving into the society? So my reason why I do now, and as honestly and as sincerely I can, that I try to do it from a space so that, and also the meaning of abhineta, it means the one who transports or uplifts a consciousness of the audience in order to reflect on themselves. If you're, as I said, if the scripts are not for 8-year-olds, if the script is meant for adults, yes, then sure. So, yeah, so that's my answer, that I am in the business of creating empathy.
And tell us what we should, I know that there's a whole range of conversations we haven't even touched, but tell us what we should watch out for that you're doing next, apart, of course, from Star Trek.
Yes, there are quite a few films, and the most interesting project that I have done, I must tell you this, I can't, I'm tempted. So I did a Khasi film, and I shot it in last June. And the guy, the director, he's a young 32-year-old director, Wanfrang Dingdo. So he comes to me and meets me in a restaurant and said, Adil, we have a film, no? And I would like you to act in the film. I'm like, okay, show me the script. I read the script, I loved it. I said, how much money? Oh, we don't have money. So I said, okay, but do you have money to, do I have to take the train to go to Shillong? No, we have money for your plane. Don't worry. I'm like, okay. So finally, and then I asked him, what about where would you like to put me up? He said, there's, Khasi people are very clean people, no worries. Any hotel is good for you. So I said, okay. So finally I stayed in a hotel, which is pretty clean, and all that. And then next morning when I got up to go for the rehearsals, and so I'm waiting, looking for someone is going to come and pick me up. Then this guy comes on a red Bajaj two-wheeler scooter. So he comes in, he takes off his helmet and says, "Sir, get in." So I'm like, I have to get in? Okay. I thought I have to open the door to get in, but I thought, no, this is the property of the character that you play. I play out of work private detective in Shillong. Can you imagine? So out of work private detective would ride a Bajaj, and you have to do this and kick. If anybody remembers Bajaj, I rode one when I was a kid.
Well, there's any hope of us getting Bajaj as a sponsor.
You're right. So that was that, and the name of the film is Lorni, and it's made, I don't know what's the budget, I think it's less than 25 lakhs. And I'm leaving day after, Lorni, there is a tagline called the flaneur, which is in French means the one who has no job, he just wanders and vagabond. So that is premiering in one of Europe's most prestigious film festivals, the way the Cannes used to be once upon a time. It's in Estonia, in Tallinn. So I'm leaving day after tomorrow for the premiere of that film. So Tallinn, Lorni.
Will the film be online? Is it a digitally streamed
It's
film?
not yet online. It's the world premiere.
Will it be online or will it be a theatrical?
It will be online. I hope that Netflix would have the intelligence to buy it, and we'll see.
Thank you so much, Adil. Like I said,
Pleasure.
the conversation can continue almost indefinitely, but thank you for taking the time.
Absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.